we kind of ruined it a little bit, I'd say. Alright guys, we've heard your complaints about the CBR 1000 RRSP Fireblade being just too quiet and too tame. You guys say that even though that exhaust valve opens up at 7,000 RPM, it is not loud enough for how loud it looks. So what are we doing, Spike?
We gotta get an SC Project exhaust on there, my dude.
Absolutely. We're gonna be slapping this thing on and hearing the awesome sounds of Honda's finest inline 4 that they produce. All right, folks, we are going with this SC Project exhaust because they truly make one of the best in the biz. Spike, where'd we get this bad boy?
We got it like all of our fancy Italian stuff. We got it from Motivation USA. They have been helping us out with so many different bikes at this point. I kind of can't count. And they are your local supplier for all things SC Project.
Oh, they're our local supplier, but
they're the only one here in the States. They're the distributor.
They're the distributor. They know SC Project like the back of their hand. So click the link down below. Check out motivationusa.com. They sell some really cool premium parts for your motorcycle. But before we install this really, really slick little exhaust on the CBR, we have to hear what it sounds like stock so you guys get a baseline. Let's hear it. As you can tell, absolute wimpy sound from this motorcycle. It needs to be loud, it needs to be the proud squid missile that it can be. Now, many of you are out there, you're now commenting, going out there really quick, already letting us know, Spike, you gotta put a tune on it, because you can't do an exhaust without a tune on it. Well, what's the story around the tune?
Okay, so it is true that there is a European version of this motorcycle that is making more power. We got the wimpy version because apparently Honda says, you Americans, you don't know what you're doing. We're gonna give you the little bike, the training wheels one. We're gonna make sure that we're taking the training wheels off, but we got a tune. This is all it was. It was a box with wires and a little Game Boy looking thing.
Yeah, so we had to get in touch with a tuner, and now we have to do a whole separate situation with the tune. So now that's a whole separate video because we cannot make that today, but we can put this exhaust on, hear how it sounds, have some fun with it, and then unleash the 30 extra wheel horsepower that this thing can produce with that Game Boy right there.
Yeah,
it's kind of hard to believe, actually.
Apparently, they have to like hack into the Matrix and like rewrite the code and do it remote, and it's a whole process. I mean, fancy Euro 5 motorcycles are actually getting really hard to crack. So at least we have it. We're gonna need to figure out how it all works at some point because it was literally just this in the box.
Yeah, so we're gonna get some cool clips today with the bike in its baseline form with this exhaust, and then in the following video, you guys will see this tune getting put on there, and we'll see if it actually does feel any more potent. Now, let's take a look at this exhaust, please. All right, guys, let's get to unboxing this SC Project exhaust. I'm just gonna have at it.
I'm gonna go full Unga Bunga mode.
I just want to see it.
Now you got just big ass cardboard staples. Be careful about your fingies.
I already messed up 2 of them the other day, so I'm good. All right, I see a link pipe.
I think this link pipe is very large.
Ooh.
Look at that.
Wow, that's a huge diameter, yeah, holy crap.
But got the nice carbon on there.
We got a box within a box. I love box within a box. It is very annoying having something right on your thumb. The pipe.
Alrighty, let's see what we got here.
What if the instructions for the tune was in here? There's like, oh, sweet.
I have actually gotten exhausts with the instructions buried down in the pipe.
Really?
Yeah, and I accidentally put the pipe on and started the bike because I knew what I was doing, and it blew the instructions out the back.
That's great.
Oh yeah, look at that.
That's gorgeous. Look at it.
That is so good.
That is extremely sexy.
Oh, and we got a big old baffle we can pull out of this to go full squid mode.
So this is gonna mate up, has to be here, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's kind of close right there, but
we'll figure it out.
It'll mate up somehow. That is beautiful. Look at that. This is gonna sound so excellent. Good. All right, well, let's get to installing it.
Yeah.
Guys, when you get a Honda Fireblade, one of the small things you'll notice of why this bike is so expensive, I don't see many push pins on here. There are no push pins holding this fairing in place. It's all these tiny little bolts, beautifully machined, of the utmost precision. And then you'll cry yourself to sleep as you think about the hit your pocketbook took whenever you bought this thing. I spoke too soon, there's a push pin. You see that? These 3 right there. And then all this grease from the kickstand that's been blown out from when I went to the track with it. Looks so shitty. All right, guys, so you might be confused as to why we have unplugged the O2 sensors. Now, the tune we are getting for this motorcycle, they've explicitly asked us to unplug the O2 sensors because they're probably gonna do a bunch of fiddly stuff with the ECU. So we are unplugging them, we're gonna zip tie them right near where they were, and it should all be good to go, hopefully. Probably gonna throw a check engine light, but whatever.
So, for this bike, I had to get the servo off, and I went about it a different way than I normally do, because normally you start up, disconnect it, and then feed the wires out. I'm actually working from the bottom up this time because I don't want to dig in. I don't know where the servo is. It's probably back here. It's usually where it is. So what I did was I took the servo actually apart and disconnected the cables from this side. So now we can drop the muffler, disconnect the cables from the lower end, and then fish them out through the top of the bike. That actually is going to be pretty darn easy to do. But we need to get rid of this servo because it's an emissions deal or a sound deal, and we don't need that where we're going. We got a big loud pipe on here because we're real boys.
We have to deal with these, and I really don't want to. God, the lazy part of me would love to just snip this and zip tie it to this, but that is so jank. I have to remember not everything is my race bike or the Gixxer. Some things you have to actually do correctly. Like that. It snakes through here and pops out from this little hole. What?
Yeah, it's a tough servo to get to.
But we did it. Oh. There we go.
So guys, in my experience, I love SC Project exhausts, but one thing you might notice if you get your own is that this link is not super tight on your bike. In my experience, you literally just have to clamp this down a little bit harder. Maybe you put a little bit of paste on the inside to make sure you get a good seal, but it oftentimes is just as easy as giving the clamp an extra couple of turns, just like that. You don't want to over clamp this thing because you will shear this bolt. These bolts, despite being steel, will fail, so don't clamp the crap out of it, but the pipe does need to deform a little bit to mate up exactly. So if you end up with a pipe that feels a little bit loose, like I did in the past, you're just not clamping it hard enough. So.
All right, guys, we've installed our SC Project exhaust on our CBR 1000 RRR SP, and it looks extremely good, but now we're gonna hear how it sounds and then get it on the road for a quick little ride. One thing to note, though, is that this bike is gonna throw a check engine light until we get that tune sorted, so stay tuned for the next episode. We're gonna get the tune and unlock the full power of this machine. guys, gassing up the CBR 1000 RRR SP Fireblade. Love saying that full name, even though you guys thought I would never say it again. I say it all the time. So here's the bike when it starts up with the new exhaust on it. It's got that lovely inline 4 rumble to it, right? So this bike is so finicky, so particular, so high-tech and all that stuff. It desperately needs a tune to run correctly. I'm going to show you guys here as I peel off onto the feeder road on the highway and ride on the highway a little bit. Show you guys the sound. But yeah, it's not running great. There's 2 check engine lights, as I mentioned. We have disconnected the O2 sensors because the new tune will not require those. We've also removed the servo motor. So the bike is very unhappy with us. But it sounds awesome. It responds extremely poorly. It's extremely confused as to what exactly the power output should be, what it should be doing. The torque setting or the torque control is constantly on over there, so we absolutely need the flash to clear all that information and to get the bike sorted for its new situation. Whoa, that's not a safe spot. It does sound awesome though, even though it's quite neutered and quite not as hopped up as it could be. It sounds really sweet. We'll grab down a gear here. Yeah, it sounds like a race bike. It's so awesome. Now, I think I'm just gonna do one nice pull in maybe second or first gear, get you guys the sound clip, because it's not an exhaust sound that, excuse me, it's not an exhaust setup you wanna really be running for too much. So I told myself we'd only put about 10 or 15 miles on it before we parked it until we got the tune on there, which we should get pretty soon. But I do want to show you guys what it sounds like at a more full song situation. Woo! Sounds great. But it's not pulling like an animal, I gotta say. Yeah, that's like, it's maybe giving me like 150 horsepower or something. I know big power motorcycles, and the tune is just all wrong on this thing, so it's not going to feel very good right now. I can't even believe the sound. Let's grab down a couple gears here. It sounds like a race bike. It's super sweet, but, you know, for being a $30,000, you know, leader bike, I want more juice than that for sure. It doesn't feel sorted. So yeah, like, you can't, with a bike this expensive and this complicated, you really can't just slap an exhaust on and hope it'll work. You have to think about a lot of different variables and a lot of different things when it comes to a situation like this. You can't just run the bike, you know, and hope that it'll run all right. So we are now going to take this bike back to the shop and park it because I don't want to keep running it very long like this. So I will see you guys back there, and we'll wrap this video up.
All right, guys, wrapping the day up here with the Fireblade, and we kind of ruined it a little bit, I'd say.
Yeah, it's a little bit tough with these modern leader bikes that are so just like every little sensor is measuring everything all the time. Introducing the smallest little change on these bikes nowadays has such a big ripple effect on the rest of the motorcycle.
Yeah.
And, you know, doing an exhaust, even a cat back, is not a small change on these bikes because of the valving that's in there. Mm-hmm. The sensors that are in there. You are changing a lot of stuff on this motorcycle, and I guess that proves the point of why you need to buy a tune with your bike, or with the
especially
exhaust.
Like you said, these super hopped up leader bikes. You absolutely need to at least do a power commander or something to even it all out. Bikes like this, like the Fireblade, I personally think you should just flash it and just get the whole parameter sorted out, because a power commander is not gonna be able to do everything like a flash could. You're talking ignition, timing, many other parameters in the engine that a flash can adjust and change that a power commander could simply not do. And I'd like to believe that someone who could afford $30,000 for a motorcycle could also afford the $800 or $900 for a flash ECU.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably already looking at this motorcycle and trying to source the European tune because you're gonna chase every last little bit of power out there.
Might as well, I guess.
And, you know, it makes sense. You know, you got the bike, you might as well search for all the power you can.
Yeah.
But, I mean, on a positive note, the exhaust looks really cool and it sounds great.
It looks cool and it sounds good. Does the bike go that great? Not really, but does it matter? Look at it, you know? Look how pretty it is. Who cares? So we are obviously going to put the Flash tune on here and we will report back to the massive gains we're gonna get on the Fireblade, and then hopefully it will be running very, very smoothly and beautifully. But yeah, guys, if you want a bike like this, don't just cheap out and get the exhaust, because you're not gonna have a good time and it's gonna kind of suck whenever you go and ride it like I just did. It really was not very fun. The low end was just like nothing.
Yeah. I mean, again,
it's like a wet noodle. It's horrible.
It's just how many sensors are on this bike, man. Like,
Yeah.
it was probably throwing some torque control stuff in there. You know, the valving, we just have a plug sitting there because we don't have the servo buddy in there.
Yep.
I mean, you really, I have a feeling the Flash is going to be like, whoa.
Yeah, that's what everyone says. So we will report back and we'll catch you in the next one. Also, giveaway Fireblade, in case you forgot. It's a giveaway bike. We didn't mention it anywhere, but you guys already know that. See you later. Woo-wee, I tell you what, there's another Yammy New video right over here waiting for you. It's Yosemite Yam, back at it again, upgraded from Cowboy Yam by popular demand. Tell you what, click on this video right over here, gonna get you cowboying, hooting and hollering, having all kinds of fun, cutting up with your buddies out there watching another Yammy New video. Woo-wee!